Hi everyone, Miles here again, the teaching professional at Southwark Park. This week, just back down in the studio again, a little bit dark because I've got the lights off because you see the screen better and it works a little bit, but probably a little bit harder to see me. But really what I wanted to talk to you about this week is not so much a tuition video, but it's about understanding your driver and understanding what it is and what it can do for you. Have you got the right one? Should I not even be using a driver? So there's lots of parameters that go with the technique of hitting a driver. So the first one is really, can you come and deliver this club into the back of the ball, showing the correct amount of loft to get it away? Sounds very simple, but it isn't in real terms, because, for example, this driver has got 10.5 degrees of loft. It'll say on the bottom there, on most modern drivers, it'll tell you the loft. But if I deliver this driver into the ball with, say, 9 degrees of loft or 6 degrees of loft, it will not take off. And I will hit a 3-wood or a 5-wood further than my driver. And I'll show you in a minute why that's important. So the other bit is the engine room of this golf club is probably the crucial part. Have you got the right shaft? And I'm not talking to being really fussy and trying lots of shafts and getting a perfect fitting. Have you got even the right shaft for you in terms of its flex and weight? So on most clubs, it will have written on the shaft a weight and a flex. If you haven't got that on there, it's probably a budget club. So that will put you at a disadvantage in terms of, is this graphite shaft actually graphite or is it far more plastic? And I'll show you the reason why. So in the shaft, there is a thing called torque. So torque is how much twist there is in the shaft. So this is a tailor-made sim driver. I'm going to hold the grip end and I'm going to turn this head clockwise hard. I'm going to use a lot of force. That's me really trying to turn it, and it moves maybe 5 degrees. So I've just got here a budget club. If you've got a Donne or a Slazenger or something like that, this is where you really come unstuck. And also if you've got a fake. So when people are faking clubs, they'll scrimp on the shaft. The shaft in that sim driver is probably way in excess of £150 to buy separately. So here's a cheap club. I'm going to hold the end. Now I can turn that head. I probably could move it almost to 3 o'clock. Well, I'm not even trying now. And I promised you before, I was really trying to move the head of that driver. It won't budge. Okay, so that's torque, and that means that's going to stay rigid as you hit the ball or have some rigidity to it. Now, potentially, if you've got a really poor driver at the moment of impact, that club's turning. I mean, I'm turning that to 3 o'clock and it's going to go all over the place. So that's the first stage. Have you got a driver of enough quality to make it effective? And then you go on from that to the flex. So flex is done quite simply just in speed. So let's go to Rory McIlroy, 120 mile an hour club head speed. He needs an X flex shaft, a very stiff, very heavy shaft, so he can swing at that incredible speed and force, and for it still to be in control and getting back to somewhere where it was as it started life at impact. So for most of you guys, and me a little bit, so my swing speed is say 103 miles an hour with a drive 105. I need a stiff flex. We can talk about the weight. And then for most people want a regular, so if your swing speed is somewhere between 80, 90 miles an hour, you probably want a regular flex club. That fits a lot of people. That means you'll get some help out the shaft as it flexes, loads and releases again as you hit the ball. That'll give you some distance. And then you go on from there to light flex or senior flex, or in a ping it's called a soft regular. So that's for, people don't like to be pigeonholed, but that's what they used to call a senior flex shaft. Now I think it's more commonly known as a light, because light flex can suit tall, stronger women, get much more distance, and maybe even just a normal man with a very slow pendulum type swing that would get benefit from a lighter, more flexible shaft. And then on one stage further to ladies, and they're getting lighter and lighter. So let's say a lady's driver shaft might be 40 grams, and some of the heavier, stiffer shafts will be 80 grams maybe. So 60 probably is a very common flex. In this club here is a Mitsubishi Tensei 60 gram S flex shaft, and it says there on that. So that's that part. That's one of the most crucial things that you can get right in your driver. If the shaft is wrong, you might not see it, but I could probably prove to you that it's costing you a lot of distance, possibly a lot of accuracy too. And then you go on to the head. So this is a 10.5 degree driver. And we know that to get maximum distance, you want to launch it somewhere between 12 and 14 degrees. So there's a thing called dynamic loft, which is the moment of impact. So I'm going to just hit one shot. Hopefully the machine will catch it. I'll do something in my swing, quite subtle to see. It's called a reverse pivot, where the weight goes on the left knee too much. And that causes you to hit down on the ball a little bit. Okay, so it did catch. You can see it going out there pretty low. So that shot, so with my 10.5 degree driver, I had a dynamic loft of 6 degrees. Well, a putter's probably 2 or 3 degrees. So what I know now then is if I wanted a driver and didn't want to change my swing, I need a far more lofted driver. Maybe a driver is always going to be difficult for me to use and I hit a better 3-wood. So if you're one of those people that says, my 3-wood goes further than my driver, maybe that's why, because when you come to deliver it into the back of the ball, it hasn't got enough loft. You know, and the other way around, you could maybe lean back or your hands get behind the ball and you add a lot of loft to your driver. And then maybe that loft needs turning or changing. So I'm actually making this video not to try and sell you a club, but maybe give you the opportunity to come and pop in here, hit a few balls, and I will tell you whether your driver's suitable or whether it needs a loft change or a shaft change a little bit, which can be a cheaper option. So yeah, that's this week's video. It's about drivers and understanding what you've got. So next time you pull yours out the bag, have a little look at it, see what the shaft says. On my fitting kit, it actually tells me on the shaft mid-trajectory for this particular one. So, you know, you might be a guy that screams it into the air because you've got loads of spin on it. Then you need the shaft could give you a lower spinning flight and that goes on. So look, if any of you want to spend 10 minutes down here, just let me know. I'll try and meet you down here. Maybe we could have an evening where a few people come and we can just try drivers and I can advise you on what you should have. And I'm honestly not doing this to sell you a club. I'm doing it to try and help you because you could be there every day trying to hit this drive that's killing you because it's totally wrong. So have a good week, everybody, and I'll see you soon.